The sun blazed mercilessly across the barren trail, baking the earth until it cracked, the dust rising in swirls that blinded the eyes and choked the lungs. A little girl clung desperately to her mother, her small hands trembling as she tried to shake her awake, tears streaking through the grime on her face. The woman lay pale and motionless, her dress torn from days of travel, her breath shallow, every rise of her chest a struggle. Their wagon had broken down 2 nights ago, the wheels splitting under the weight of what little they had carried westward. And with no one to help, they had been stranded in the middle of nowhere. The horses had scattered when wolves howled in the dark, and all that remained now was a broken wagon, an empty canteen, and 2 souls fighting against a cruel land that had no mercy. The girl's cries echoed down the empty trail, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Mama, don't leave me. Please don't leave me." Each plea was carried away by the dry wind. Just when all seemed lost, when her small body grew weak from both fear and hunger, a shadow cut across the blazing sun. At first, she thought it was another trick of her tired eyes. But then the rhythmic pounding of hooves grew louder, and dust rose on the horizon. A lone rider appeared, tall in the saddle, wearing a weathered coat and a hat pulled low against the glare. His horse stopped a few feet away, snorting, the man's sharp eyes taking in the scene before him. He saw the girl, her tiny form hunched over her fallen mother, and something stirred deep in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Slowly he dismounted, his boots crunching in the dirt as he walked closer. The girl looked up, her eyes red from crying, her voice barely a whisper as she asked, "Mister, can you help my mama?" The man knelt, his weathered face filled with both sorrow and determination. He checked the woman's pulse, faint but still there. Then he looked into the girl's pleading eyes and said the words that would change their fate forever. "You're not alone anymore. Little one, I'll see you both through this trail." And in that moment, a story of survival, sacrifice, and unexpected family began to unfold. The rancher lifted the frail woman gently into his arms, his muscles straining as he carried her to his horse. The little girl followed, clinging to his coat with one hand, while dragging the corner of a red blanket with the other, the only thing she had left to keep her mother warm. The rancher secured the woman carefully on the horse, before helping the child climb up. He mounted behind them, wrapping one arm around both to steady them as he guided the animal down the trail. His mind was racing, though his face remained calm. He had lived alone for years, his days filled with cattle, silence, and the ache of memories he tried to bury. He had sworn never to get entangled in another soul's troubles. Yet here he was, carrying strangers through the wilderness. But the little girl's sobs had pierced through the walls he had built around his heart, and the sight of her mother struggling to breathe reminded him of a pain he once knew all too well, the pain of losing someone and being powerless to stop it. They rode for miles as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with streaks of fire. Coyotes howled in the distance, and every sound made the girl clutch tighter to him. He kept whispering reassurances, words he hadn't spoken in years. "Hold on, darling. We'll get her safe. Just trust me." The trail was rough, and the rancher knew that without water and medicine, the woman wouldn't last the night. But he also knew of an abandoned way station nearby where he had once taken shelter, and with determination burning in his chest, he pressed on. Finally, as darkness cloaked the land, they reached the old cabin. It was run down, the wood creaking, but it was shelter. He laid the woman on a cot, covered her with the red blanket, and poured the last drops of water into her lips. Then he turned to the girl, brushing her tangled hair from her tear-streaked face. "What's your name, little one?" he asked gently. Through a sniffle, she replied, "Clara." He nodded. "Well, Clara, your mama's strong. She just needs time. And I'll stay right here until she opens her eyes again." The little girl looked at him, her trust growing, and for the first time in years, the rancher felt a sense of purpose return to his soul. Alone no more, he realized that fate had placed him here not to pass by, but to protect, to guide and to heal. The night was long and restless. The rancher tended to the woman, coaxing her to sip water whenever she stirred, while Clara curled up beside her mother, refusing to let go of her hand. Outside, the coyotes circled, but the rancher kept the fire burning bright, his rifle across his knees, his eyes scanning the dark. He was used to nights like these, alone with danger lurking. But this time it was different. This time, he wasn't just protecting himself, he was protecting something fragile, something precious. As dawn broke, the first rays of light spilled through the cracks of the cabin, painting Clara's hair in gold. Her mother stirred, her eyes fluttering open, and for a moment she seemed lost, disoriented, before they focused on her daughter's face. "Mama!" Clara cried, throwing her arms around her. Tears streamed down both their cheeks, but this time they were tears of relief. The rancher stepped back, letting the moment belong to them. The woman's voice was weak, but filled with gratitude as she whispered, "You saved us. Why?" The rancher met her gaze, his jaw tight with unspoken emotion. "Because I couldn't ride past and leave you to die," he said simply. No one should face this trail alone. Silence hung between them for a moment, heavy with meaning. Clara clung to both her mama and the rancher now, as if she knew he was the bridge between despair and hope. In the days that followed, he nursed the woman back to health, shared what little food he had, and rebuilt their wagon. Each sunrise brought new strength, not just to her body, but to all their hearts. The rancher found himself smiling again, telling Clara stories by the fire, even laughing at her questions. And though the land was still harsh and the trail still long, the journey ahead no longer felt empty. For the first time in years, he had found a reason to ride, not away from the past, but toward a future where loneliness no longer held him captive. And as he saddled his horse beside their wagon, guiding them toward safety, Clara's small hand slipped into his, her eyes bright with trust. The rancher looked down at her, then at her mama, and realized that the trail had given him something he never expected. A family worth fighting for. If you've been moved by this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, so you never miss more powerful tales like this one, because stories like these remind us that hope can ride in when we least expect it.